Bid recommendation for Granville Gude Park path banners. Department of Parks and Recreation Director Bill Bailey, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. I'm here for you tonight for the Granville Gude Path banners. As you recall, the Department of Parks and Recreation worked with Century Engineering on a project to replace the existing path lights around the two lakes at Laurel Lakes with energy efficient and safety feature lights. The project was completed in two phases. Phase 1 consisted of purchasing the lights, and Phase 2 consisted of install of the lights. Along with the poles and necessary lights in Phase 1, we purchased one digital banner and pre-wired 4 additional poles for future expansion. The IntelliStreets is a patented wireless disruptive technology which allows communication between the individual luminaries in the web-based user interface. IntelliStreets is the most effective way to maintain and conserve natural and human resources needed to protect and reduce our carbon footprint. The current poles support IntelliStreets, a patented wireless disruptive technology, as it is a proprietary system allowed for continuity of the path lights and the additional 4 new digital banners must match the banners already existing. The funding is available for the adopted FY 2025 CIP Park Improvement Project. It is recommended that the purchase of the 4 additional digital banners at $27,395 each for a total of $109,580 from Chesapeake Lighting of Columbia, Maryland, be approved. Sternberg is the manufacturer and uses Chesapeake Lighting as the local sales representatives responsible for promoting their product in the Baltimore, D.C. area. Each banner purchase comes equipped with commissioning and system management services. Should you have any additional questions, I'm available for questions at this time.
Thank you very much, Director Bailey. We'll start at the end of the dais with Councilwoman Clark. Do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, thank you. Director Bailey, I have a few questions. The first one is, could you please tell me where the one digital banner, the additional one, will go, or where you plan on placing that?
Well, the current one that we have now is located between the lake house and the stage on that park path. The 4 additional will go, one will go on the small lake side, one will go on the hill coming down, one will go between the lake house and Oxford Drive, and one will go between the stage and Laurel Place. So they're spread out amongst the lights.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I know some people have, some residents have expressed that we have a rolling sign, but that's not close. So I don't know if we're spreading it out in a way where everyone can see it. But I'm sure you already thought of that. I just wanted to give you that insight. In addition, will we need better Wi-Fi in order for any of this to work?
No, it'll work off the current existing Wi-Fi, and that's why, we're using the same banners that we already put on. So when we put the existing wired on originally, we pre-wired it knowing that we were going to get some banners down the road when some funding was available.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just keep going down the dais. I have no questions on this, Mr. Bailey. I do like the banners that are down there. I've seen them, that it's not just a static image. We can put animated things on there. We can change it, cycle it so that we can actually have more banners and more information for the public. So I really like this one. And when we looked at these last year, they were a good investment for the city. Next, we'll go with Mr. Mills.
Director Belly, I wanted to first say that the stage looks great. Yeah.
Very good.
The banners I don't have a question on. I just was wondering, I know even though that everybody has cell phones nowadays, but let's say for instance, somebody that's might be running or walking or riding a bike through that area at nighttime. You know how colleges have like a emergency phone.
Yeah, we have that now. The existing, when the system was put in place, we have two blue light poles, if you will. Mm-hmm. One of them is over on the Small Lake side, and one of them is over very close to this banner system. And they're lit up. They have blue, and they have a blue light at the top of them. If they go directly, if you hit that, it'll go directly to police dispatch.
Cool. Okay. That was my only question. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Ms. Johnson? Thank you. Mr. Simmons?
Just a curiosity, is there like a time of day or time of night when they cut off or on in terms of light at the night? Are they on all night long or?
Well, you can set it multiple ways. Right now, we have it set to the it's set for daylight savings or a sunrise, sunset right now. But we can set them we can program them to run anytime we want. But right now, it's just reading what the I guess the weather is saying that sunrise is at 5:30. It'll cut off at that time.
Gotcha. Okay.
But all the lights everything's programmable. That's with this system. What makes it very unique, that you can do a lot of things with it. It plays music. They have speakers in it, and we're working on that, trying to get more music playing through it, and also pre-recorded messages. So one thing we're going to utilize this year for like 4th of July, you know how we always have the impending weather,
right.
And like last year we had to clear the field because we've already pre-programmed the message.
Great.
So that if that happens again this year,
right.
It's all by your phone. We can go in there, select that, and it will play a pre-recorded message, inclement weather, please evacuate the field at this time, whatever it says. Whatever we want it to say, we can do all that.
Gotcha. So it contributes to public safety at
Absolutely.
the lake as well.
Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, any questions, comments? All right. With no further questions from the council, this item will be placed on the regular council meeting scheduled for July 8th at 6 p.m. The next agenda item is a leasing agreement for the Bigbelly compost bins for multifamily compost collection. The Environmental Programs Manager, Ms. Michelle Blair, will present. The button on the top. I think you're on now. Nope. You're on.
Okay, I'm on. All right. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Before you is a leasing agreement recommendation. Entry into a leasing agreement for the Bigbelly smart compost bin will provide composting to our condo communities. It will give our residents and our condos the opportunity to compost with the same ease and accessibility that we currently provide to our single family and townhomes. The leasing agreement, the Bigbellys we currently use, you've seen around town for our trash and recycling. It will be the same type of unit will be placed in the trash corrals. So the same place that the residents currently get rid of their trash and recycling, their composting bin there. It is a lock system. So that means that it will decrease the rodent population because you will need to have a code in order to get in that will be available to residents at no cost to them. This will also enable us through a web-based system that we currently use for the Bigbellies that pick up our trash and recycling to monitor usage, for Public Works to monitor when they need to be collected, as well as areas that we would need to reach out to increase education. So if we see a Bigbelly that doesn't have a lot of usage, then we know that this block of buildings would need more one-on-one training or answer questions. So it would enable us to educate our residents better. There are 40 units. Our condo communities are based a lot in Ward 2, so it's Bridgeport, the Tiers 1 and 2, and Vistas. On Ward 1, it is the Oaks on Main Street, as well as Brookmill. Funding for this is provided in the FY25 CIP environmental programs. If you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Blair. I'll start at the other end of the dais for questions. Mr. Simmons, do you have any questions on the leasing agreement?
Actually, yeah, just one question, sorry. Would this also be rolling out to some of the other multifamilies? So I don't know how far along some of that composting rollout. So we're talking about the condos right now, but our
Correct.
apartments, do they also end up getting the same
So
thing?
we can also use this. We're going to start with the condo units and see what areas need the most tweaking, how we actually can adapt this to all of our apartment rental communities, and then work with the property owners to get the units on board for that. But right now, as the legislation is written, it's really condo, multifamily, townhome, and single-family homes. I have spoken to some of the townhome communities that are interested in maybe having one in their community so that people wouldn't have to have the bins directly in front of their homes. So that is an option.
And should that be adopted, let's say, by the apartment communities or things like that, would this lease be expanded to include the additional units?
They would be extended the same leasing agreement, but it would be their responsibility to pay for the lease because they are rental, and that's how we manage their trash and recycling, that they are required to pay for that. So,
And last question, I'm assuming the key advantage of getting like this that technology is to allow for the locking from like a rodent control situation.
yes. So not only that, but right now we do not have a tool in place to enable our condo residents to compost,
Right.
as we do for our single family and townhomes. So this is a tool that allows them to do that. Because it is a locking system, then that will reduce the rodent population in the corrals because they're open corrals.
Right. Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Ms. Johnson? Mr. Mills?
One quick question. The term big belly, does that mean like how the big trash cans are?
So the one right down by the farmer's market, that is a double unit. This unit will only be one unit. So it'll be just one half of what you see on Main Street. And it will have, when our crews go out, the bins that are inside will have a lift bar. It rolls out, so it's compatible with our trucks.
Oh, okay.
But it is smaller than that. We anticipate one in each trash corral. And because we can monitor them, then we can increase the frequency of the collection and not necessarily have to add more units. And that will hold costs down.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Ms. Blair, I have a question on the user code to get in. I want to make sure that we're not adding an additional step that's too hard for residents. We want to encourage everybody to compost. Is there a way that if they forget their code, that they can easily get a new code from the
yes.
Bigbelly? Is there like a
So-
QR code that
so
they can
the
scan and get in?
So the app is on your phone. So the app, you don't need your phone to activate the unit. The app will just give you the code. So you don't you can be in your home, and as long as the app is there, which we're going to have volunteers, a lot of high school students, and our focus groups and our environmental affairs committee, I'm sure will volunteer to come out and help us roll this out. That once it's on your phone, again, at no cost to the resident, that it will tell you the closest Bigbelly compost cart, and it will give you a code. That's all you need. You don't need your phone. You just need the code. If you forget your phone or you need a new code, you just ask it again.
So you have to get a new code each time?
No.
Okay, so if we have a resident that is they're not as technologically advanced as some of the others, we can just issue them a code and they can go out, put it in.
They would have to do it themselves, but we can walk them through that.
Okay. Is there a way that we can help them for those
Yes,
that don't have
that's
the
part of the
technology?
rollout. When we show them how to get the app on their phone, we will be there to show them how to use it. And it's just a 4-digit code. It's not like the password that Microsoft makes you use. Like, it's just a 4-digit code.
Thank you, Ms. Blair. Ms. Clark?
Hi, just a few questions. I think we talked about this before. So number one, I know that we had some residents that reached out to me in regards to plastic concerns that could get caught either in the soil before or composting. Is there any way that we're going to be able to ensure that that doesn't happen? Because I know this takes a lot of funding for this, and just want to make sure that it's effective.
So we think that this will be the most effective because it is a locked system. So so people are intentionally using it. It doesn't become an extra trash can. I mean, we're not getting rid of the trash cans. We're not getting rid of the recycling. We're offering them an additional way to get rid of their organics. With that being said, the part of education for the type of bags that have to be used in it, because it is an organic program, that will be all part of the information that we send out. In addition to, we've worked, Public Works offered, but we've agreed to that if residents want to purchase in bulk the compostable bags, for their indoor container, that we can do that at cost. And then they will be billed like on a yearly basis. We'll also have educational information about what can go in there as far as bags. As far as plastic and composting, MES has very rigorous testing. Plastic, microplastics are everywhere. And we investigated an issue that was brought up, and we think that what happened is it just got scraped from the bottom of the pile. So we were not sure where the contamination comes from. But does that answer the question? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you brought up a great point, which was my second question. Do you feel like you have enough either staff or support to educate the condos, the residents? Because I know the program's only going to be as effective as them being educated, because once it goes in the bin, it's already processing and it's hard to get that out. So
Right.
do you have a plan, or are you creating a plan to either have that support to educate the public? I know the EAC, but we're pretty limited. And then I know you also have your sustainable groups as well. Did you need additional support as well?
If you're offering, yes, I'd love to have that.
I'm just asking.
But we are currently we're working with the consultant that's working on the larger sustainability plan that you've met at the open house, KLT, and we are working together on a composting campaign, which is exciting, interactive education on the ease of compost, the importance of it, but also how to manage that process. And really to help the residents understand that we've now added a third stream. We've not taken anything away from you. We've actually given you another opportunity to manage your waste and not have the overflow. And so the education part, one of the reasons why we wanted to start with the with the condos is because that is a community that we really, it's underserved as far as as far as the composting as we afford to our single family townhomes. So we want to hear from them. We want to know, what can we tweak? What do we need to do? And this is it's a consolidated group of residents that I think we can get a lot of feedback from.
No, I agree with you. I had one last question. Recently, when I went on the tour of the homes, I stopped by Jimmy Rogers' home, and he mentioned to me that he uses the composting from the program, that you can get that back. Will this also be a part of that program where you can get the composting back and use it in your planting or gardens?
So we're hoping to be able to still continue to provide the composting, but that does come down to funding.
Okay.
And there's a diversionary rate that we think that we'll see savings. So that would be a question probably for next budget year.
Okay, and the, part B to that question, I'm not sure if this was the program that was discussed previously. Is this the one where the bins would be randomly selected to be reviewed to see if it was, I guess,
compliant?
To make sure it was compliant, and will there be fees or charges?
So the compliance piece is another step in the tools that we need to use in order to make our legislation and ordinance 2010 really achieve what it wanted to achieve. So the compliance part will be brought up at a later time. And it is, again, it's used as an educational tool. The information that we can get from the software that we would employ as we're picking up from homes it helps me to address what the real issue is. Do you have overflow? Do you need me to come out and do a trash audit? Are you contaminating your recycling? What do you need? You can have more than one recycling cart. So there's a lot of different pieces in that. We're starting early, as council had requested when they passed 2010, so that we could make sure that the education and the outreach to the residents was in place before we even get close to any citations. But without any teeth in anything, then it's just, but I think we'll get there. I think we have a good plan.
Thank you.
Mr. Sidnor, any comments? Any further questions or comments from the council?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mills?
Speaking of tweaking, like I need to tweak my bins.
Okay.
All right, but I'm trying to educate myself. I told you since day one. This was composting been something that I've been doing for years, but using the bins in the home and outdoors, when you're just putting the food in there, the maggots, and then the maggots turn into flies, and we got issue.
Yeah.
We got major issue in the home and out the home, and my issue almost got me and my bins kicked out my house.
Okay.
It got a little bad up in there.
You should have called.
I was trying to figure.
Tips
I didn't have time to call,
yeah.
but I had to try to get it done, right?
Yeah.
So what I did, and I'm just going to throw a couple scenarios. When I initially started composting, I was composting in the backyard with like a pile of dirt. And I would, just kind of, put the food in there and everything, the shells and all of that, and just mix it up. And I didn't have that issue of the maggots, right? And then the maggots turn into flies. But can't do that in the home though.
Right.
What do you think?
So there are, and if you go, we just created Sustainable Laurel on a Facebook page that we want, the vision is to get it interactive with residents who have come up with this issue and how they have managed it. So maggots are basically, they're just a byproduct of any type of organic material. So in your home, that kitchen countertop is designed to be emptied frequently because of the compostable bags do not last as long as a plastic bag. So the key here is to remove the organics on a frequent basis. For your tan cart that is locked, we suggest that you always keep it locked. And we've had residents, and what I myself do is take the paper bags that you get from Lowe's for your yard debris, and you put that in there, and then that absorbs a lot of the juices. And then, of course, our Public Works Department collects the whole thing, and that is compostable. Those bags are deemed compostable. For inside, there's a lot of different techniques that can reduce that issue. Freezing is one of them. So there's a lot of tips that when we talk to residents, they give us, and then we pass on.
And
Thank you, Ms. Blair.
you had mentioned that something on social media.
Yeah, so Sustainable Laurel is our new Facebook page, and that is where we are going to have tips for composting, the ease of compost.
Okay.
And we, do not encourage backyard composting because of rodent issues.
All right. Thank you.
Any more questions on the leasing agreement?
It's not specifically leasing agreement, but it's the code to make sure everyone will be able to utilize the system. So you mentioned a code, the one-time code.
So the app is in 11 different languages, and we will have a lot of volunteers to help people download it that would need help. When you pull up the app, you basically you hit a button, and it will identify the closest Bigbelly smart compost bin to you. So regardless of where you are, it's going to say, okay, this is the closest. So if you're in your home and this is your trash corral, it's going to pick up on that, and it's going to give you a code. And you can reuse that code. It doesn't reset, but if you forget it, or somebody else, you want your kid to bring down the compost, then they can get a unique code.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like there's a lot of education to still go on this program. If there's any further questions from the council, please feel free to email those to the administration for answers. This item will be placed on the July 8th meeting at 6 p.m. virtually. Thank you, Ms. Blair.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item this evening is fleet acquisition for fleet replacement schedule. Department of Public Works Director Tim Miller, you have the floor. I believe your mic is off.
Here we go. Okay. Thank you, Councilman Kole. Mayor Sidnor, President Kole, and City Council members. The Department of Public Works is requesting approval for the purchase of 11 new vehicles to support the Department of Parks and Recreation, the Fire Marshal and Permit Services Office, Communications, and Public Works. The department solicited several quotes, both locally and statewide, with the accepted quotes coming from Mid-Atlantic Waste Systems of Easton, who has the Sourcewell contract, Apple Ford of Columbia, who has the Baltimore County contract, and Fred Frederick of Laurel. And what we do is we ride those contracts to obtain the best price statewide. Based on the fleet schedule, the following equipment will be replaced or reassigned to other departments to address vehicle shortages resulting from staff increases, wear and tear, and new programs like you just heard regarding the composting. Based on that, truck number 73, which is a 2015 Chevy Silverado, will be replaced with a new 2024 Ford F-250. Truck number 756, a Ford E350 handicap van, will be replaced with a new 2024 Ford Transit handicap van. Truck number 762, a Chevrolet Express van, will be replaced with the new 2024 Ford Transit 15-passenger van. Truck number 805, a 2015 Dodge Journey, will be replaced with a new 2024 Ford Explorer. Truck number 729, a 2017 Ford Explorer, will be replaced with a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Truck number 19, a 2014 Ford F-250, will be replaced with a new 2024 F-250. Truck number 23, a 2012 Freightliner Refuge rear loader, will be replaced with a new 2024 Peterbilt Refuge loader. Truck number 718, a 2015 Chevrolet Silverado, will be replaced with a new Ford 250. Truck number 812, a 2014 Ford Explorer, will be replaced with a new 2024 Ford Explorer. Truck number 16, a 2007 Kentworth Refuge rear loader, will be replaced with a 2024 Peterbilt Refuge rear loader. Truck number 17, a 2006 GMC Roll-Off, will be replaced with a new 2025 Peterbilt. Funding is available through the adopted 2025 CIP under Fleet Replacement Project. The project cost is $1,308,597.44 for these 11 pieces. It's recommended that the purchases of this equipment be divided as follows. Mid-Atlantic Waste Systems of Easton, $813,222.04. Apple Ford of Columbia, $445,479.40, and Fred Frederick of Laurel, $49,896, for a total of $1,308,597.44. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Director. That is a lot of
Yes,
equipment
it
that
is.
we are purchasing. I would ask that the council, if they have something very specific to an individual piece of equipment, if we could email that out to the administration. But is there any overall questions for the larger bid as a whole for the 1.308 million?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Mills.
Out of those three businesses, who's selling the Peterbilts?
I believe it is Mid-Atlantic Waste Systems,
Mid-Atlantic.
okay? Because those are, that's, we have several vendors that we go through, and, sometimes we will get a MAC. It all depends on the low bid, yes.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, Peterbilt is more so like known for the bells and whistles, though. There was nothing else a little lower that we can find?
We go to the state contracts to get the best prices that way.
Okay.
I would agree with you that sometimes the Peterbilt has been known to have the bells and whistles, but, it isn't always that case.
Okay.
I remember when you used to have Sterling and Ford and
Right.
things of that nature. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Any other overall questions from the council on the fleet acquisition?
I have one or two.
Go ahead, Ms. Clark.
Thank you. My first question, I noticed that you said the vehicles will be reassigned to other departments if they're not utilized anymore. Also, if they're not able to be reassigned, are we receiving any types of credits back towards the new vehicles, just to confirm for the public?
Yes, Councilwoman. What we will do is the 115 passenger van and the number 16 refuge truck will be auctioned off. So what we generally do is if any vehicle can't be reused or it's worn out, we will auction those off and reap the benefits of that. Yes,
Great, thank you.
you're welcome.
An additional question, and then I have a suggestion. Are there any sustainable features on the new vehicles? Just because I know our staff really works hard and they're traveling around, just wondered if that was considered at all?
Well, it is, and what we've done is, just to give you an idea, and I'll talk gasoline, okay? When you talk sustainability, this year, or I shouldn't say, I'm in the new year already. Last year, we budgeted $350,000 for gasoline. We cut that budget down by $45,000. So by purchasing these newer vehicles and looking at, now, just to give you an idea, we buy the F-250s because those trucks are generally going to have plows put on the front of them, okay? So they are going to consume a little bit more gas. But we are very conscious in trying to reduce that consumption of diesel fuel and gas. And we certainly did it last year and going forward into this year. So I want to continue to build on that. If that means even instead of buying the F-250 or the F-150, that we start to look at trucks that are only carrying one person around for maybe inspections or something of that nature, that they are in like a Ford Ranger or Coronado or, some of those other small pickup trucks.
Thank you. We really appreciate you thinking about that in advance. Sure. One suggestion, if possible, I noticed on number 756, Ford, it says Ford Transit handicap van. If possible, we can adjust it to like wheelchair accessible van or something like that. That would be great.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Just I guess the verbiage sometimes, that's all.
Right. Okay, sure.
Thank you. It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Other questions or comments from the council? Any from you, Mr. Mayor? Hearing none, please, again, feel free to email staff with additional questions specific to each individual piece of equipment. This item will be placed on the agenda for Monday, July 8th at 6 p.m. virtually. Our next bid recommendation is for fleet leasing purchase for the Laurel Police Department. Chief Hamill, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President Kole. Good evening. President Kole, Mayor Sidner, and our esteemed council. For you tonight is Enterprise Fleet Management Services acquisition. The Laurel Police Department is respectfully requesting permission to continue our Enterprise Fleet Management Services contract for fiscal year 2025 for the continued acquisition of new vehicles for our fleet. These vehicles will not increase the fleet number, as they will replace existing older police vehicles through leasing services offered by Enterprise. We are requesting on this round 15 Ford Police Interceptor utility vehicles in line with our current replacement schedule as agreed upon during the initial acquisition of services. We are also requesting one Ram minivan or a similar model for the animal warden and parking enforcement, and one Chevy Bolt EV or similar model for our public relations officer. Funding for this leasing purchase is included in the fiscal year 2025 CIP that was adopted. It is recommended that the mayor and city council approve the proposed lease agreement in the amount of $287,016.96 as submitted by Enterprise Fleet Management. It is also respectfully recommended that the mayor and city council enter an intent to lease agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management for fiscal year 2025, as the ordering window for these vehicles is typically in August, and it closes by Ford Motor Company prior to your September council meeting. So we have a very limited window here. The ordering window for both of the non-police vehicles, however, will be subject to their availability at the time of approval and would not be part of the intent to purchase lease agreement. Thank you for your time, and we remain available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chief. I guess before we open it up to comments from the council, could you give a recap for our new council members why we do leasing agreements instead of purchasing?
So when we arrived here, what we found was our fleet was in pretty bad condition. We had vehicles that were close to 200,000 miles on them. You could actually see the roadway through the floorboards as the officers drove them. They were unsafe for citizens. They were unsafe for the officers. And so we had to do something about it. The replacement schedule at that time was minimal amount of vehicles. We were not rotating vehicles out properly. The additional problem with that is our cost on gas with those older vehicles was through the roof. Our cost on maintenance for those vehicles just to keep them on the road was through the roof. So at that time, we decided a number of years ago to look at another way to get this across the finish line for us. And we came up with this Enterprise Fleet Leasing Program. We studied other programs Enterprise is pretty much the industry standard. We interviewed other purchasers of this program throughout the state. In fact, a couple of them said we had 2 places told us it's the best thing they ever did, not just for their departments, but for their entire government in order to have the right vehicles out there. You know, our officers, more officers are killed every year across this country in motor vehicle collisions than in any other manner. So this helps keeps our officers safe. They have all the most current safety equipment on them. We rotate these vehicles out according to our lease agreement. They buy our old vehicles back from us and apply it to our cost on this. So this was the proper way we felt for us to go, and has been a successful program so far. And I think our fleet looks pretty good. We went to a new platform on our appearance on our fleet as well, away from the standard old white vehicles with the blue stickers on them, as you see. And we worked with Lodge 11 on what equipment would be in these vehicles, how we would outfit them. Most people don't know that besides our body-worn cameras, we have in-car cameras in every vehicle. And we do a severe power draw on those cars, as James can tell you. And these vehicles are built to withstand that. And also, for the 15, 18 days a year, people can't drive, although it hasn't been that way past year or two. Our vehicles are all-wheeled. They can get out there and operate, and we can get to our calls safely.
Thank you very much, Chief. I will open up the floor for questions from the council.
I just have one question, Chief. I remember on my ride along that one of the vehicles we were in was pretty tight. When you're looking at the new vehicles, is it going to provide more room for their laptops and their equipment, et cetera?
Well, the problem with police vehicles now is a lot of the automobile manufacturers have just walked away from doing that. So there's a very limited product out there for us. We went to this Ford Interceptor, which is an Explorer, basically, because it was sturdy. It was big enough for us to have our equipment in there. I'm not sure which vehicle you rode in. Any of the older vehicles, they're being rotated out. But our trying to think of a nice way to say this. Our larger officers they appreciate the vehicles as well.
Yeah, I think it was an older vehicle, but I remember the officer, when I was watching her, it was hard for her to type. And I was just concerned about like carpal tunnel, like things like that. Just wondering if we're considering having room in the newer vehicles.
The newer vehicles are all the SUVs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Additional? Mr. Simmons?
Yeah, just a basic one. The 287,000 number, I'm assuming that's a 12-month number, and that's the fleet as a whole, or can you break
Yes,
down that?
it goes per year for that.
Okay, that's the annual number.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the whole fleet, not just the 15?
No, that's just these.
Okay, that's just those. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Hey, Chief, how many vehicles left on this replacement? I know we still got some,
After this, I believe, because, well, I know you know, and Mr. Kole knows, but because of delivery issues over the past couple of years, remember, there was a UAW strike, and there was trouble getting these vehicles to us. In fact, we took a couple of vehicles from other agencies that were made available to us because there was just the stock was so limited. So I believe, Michelle, we have one more year to catch up, if I'm correct.
okay. Thank you.
So after next July, we'll have all of our fleet will be changed over.
Right, and then we'll examine which ones need to go into our next one, and if we can extend, depending on mileage is how we determine if we extend it. Also, replacing wrecked vehicles, which unfortunately we do have that.
Thank you, Chief. Any final questions or comments from the council?
Make a statement.
Mr. Mills?
Chief, I like your motivation, man. I don't know. I mean, is it because it's a good program? But I mean, I see like motivation from you when you presented this.
Well, sir, I've been a police officer longer than I think 2 of the council members have been alive, I'm pretty sure. And I can remember the vehicles that we first had.
Wow.
And vehicles, person very close to me just works for another police department, related to me by marriage, She just got her first new car, I think, in 16 years.
Wow.
So us having this ability, this helps us with recruiting. This helps us with retention. But really, the safety feature, I got to give hats off to the FOP. They worked hard with us on this issue, and we got it across the line. It's thank you, though, for your.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. I like that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
This item will be placed on the agenda for the July 8th meeting at 6 PM. Our final bid recommendation for the evening is the annual ammunition purchase for the Laurel Police Department. Chief Hamill, you again have the floor.
Thank you, sir. So the Laurel Police Department is again respectfully requesting permission to purchase ammunition for fiscal year 2025 to be used in accordance with the training standards of the Maryland Police and Correctional Training Commission and our department. We will be writing the Maryland State Contract number 001B9400284 for this purchase through the gun shop, who is a supplier. Funding for this purchase is included in the adopted FY 2025 operating budget in account number 301-52571, and that's titled Ammunition Purchases with a line item total of $55,000. It is respectfully recommended that the mayor and city council approve the purchase of the ammunition in the amount of $55,000 through the Maryland State Contract pricing with the gun shop. And we are available for questions, and thank you for your consideration once again.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments from the council? Mr. Simmons.
Thank you. Just one small question for my own education. I know a few years back, the ammunition industry, like there's a supply issues and pricing issues. Just for my own education, is that subsided? And
It ebbs and flows.
Okay.
You know, we have wars all over the African continent, in the Middle East, the Ukraine, and that the predominant weapons there are the same ones police officers carry across our country, using the same ammunition. So it can get tight for us.
Okay.
So we try to stock up so we can. Our goal has been that if there's another shutdown and we go 6 months to a year without ammunition, we can continue to qualify our officers in accordance with the state law. And then we require more shooting in our department than that to make sure our people stay proficient. We want to be able to do that going out and not have to beg, borrow, or steal ammunition from other agencies or pay the going rate at a gun shop.
opportunity. Yeah. Thank you for that forethought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Johnson.
So I guess you said that we have an overstock. So how long will this keep us, this amount?
This is
that
1
you're
year.
purchasing? 1 year, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Additional questions or comments from the council?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Chief. This item will be placed on the July 8th meeting at 6 PM virtually. With no further business before the mayor and council, this meeting is adjourned.